Texas Tech men's basketball roster is slowly taking shape, and right now, it feels like it's a quiet period for the Red Raiders. Why might that be, as well as the latest target for Texas Tech? Not in the portal, no. This time they're headed overseas. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. A lot to discuss as, again, we've kind of shown what Texas Tech has right now, specifically after the Luke Bamgboye commitment, where you have your starting center, at least in theory, because it sounds like Texas Tech wants JT Toppin to play more at the 4. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition after JT played a lot of minutes at the 5, and the Red Raiders like that small ball lineup, but things changed. That was at least the theory going into getting Luke Bamgboye. Worst case scenario, he's playing Fetty type role. But right now is kind of a quiet period for Texas Tech when it comes to this roster from the sheer standpoint of, I think there's probably a couple of things the Red Raiders want to look at, in the sense that they would love to have another primary ball handler, so another guard to play alongside Christian Henderson, and they may want two. And what I mean by that is, outside of Christian Henderson, we've talked about this on previous videos here on the channel, there's no experience on this roster from a point guard perspective, like a true sense. There's no Elijah Hawkins, right? And you're probably not getting him back, even with this 5-year thing going through the house and everything. They may not grandfather guys in. It may be from now moving forward, but we shall see if that even gets approved, and we'll cross that bridge when it gets there. I don't think any college team can quote unquote bet on it or just rest on their laurels and think, oh yeah, it's for sure going to happen, or else they're going to be sadly mistaken more than likely when it doesn't get approved. That being said, for Texas Tech, they just simply don't have somebody like Elijah Hawkins, right? And I'm not saying they're going to go out and find that kind of guy, or even a Joe Toussaint, both guys that they landed in the portal over the last 2 years, in terms of really having some high IQ players there, right? Like, you think about it from the perspective of, okay, now you've got Christian Henderson, who is going to be your quote unquote lead guard, or at least the guy that leads your backcourt, in the sense of maybe not the truest sense of a point guard, but he's going to be that guy, if that makes sense, right, when it comes to your guards. Now you want to go out and potentially add a guy that complements him really well. What are some of the things that could complement him? Obviously, we've seen him alongside Elijah Hawkins, that type of guard, a natural passer, maybe on the smaller side, but also has a plethora of experience. Do they go that route? Or do they go the route of maybe a taller guard, maybe in that 6'4" to 6'5" range, that can play alongside of him, that can be a primary ball handler, right, while also guarding multiple positions and being comfortable off the ball? It'll be interesting to see where they go, but I think Texas Tech is in a really good spot from the standpoint of, there's going to be a wave of guys that have their name in the NBA draft process right now, right, that return to college. That's just how it's going to be. And they're going to be in a very good spot to potentially land one of those guys that fits the mold of the guard that I think Britt McCassin wants to land. And you've seen it from the guys that they've targeted, right, in the portal, from the sense of Denzel Aberdeen, who ended up at Kentucky for $2.5 million, right? So at least that's the rumor. There's also other guys that they've targeted that have gone elsewhere in terms of that complement guard for Christian Henderson. In today's video, we're about to talk about him in terms of a guy from the international perspective that has had some whispers that Texas Tech has shown some interest in. He's currently in the NBA draft process, and he is a guy that I think right now the team to watch when it comes to him is Florida. Funny enough, you have, obviously played them in the Elite Eight, but this is a guy that Florida has shown a lot of interest in. But there's also a guy that Florida's showing interest in as well, who is in the portal currently from USC, that's scheduled to go on a visit on Thursday. That, let's just play the hypothetical game and say, oh, if he did commit to Florida, where does that leave the Gators? Does that give Texas Tech a better chance to potentially land the guy that we're talking about? I think in theory it does, but let's go ahead and look at the guy now. You can see him on your screen right there. His name is Ben Henshell. Averaged 9.5 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 2.6 assists, over 1 steal per game. He did so over in, the NBL, over out in Australia with Perth. Okay, so you see he's draft eligible, in 2026. If he were to come to the States and play in college basketball, he would be older. Okay, he would be 21 by the time next season starts. The shoe fits in terms of the experience aspect of it. There's not a lot of better experience you can have than playing legitimately pro basketball in one of the best leagues in the entire world. Some people will say it's in Europe, and then you probably go to Australia. That's probably the third best league, fourth best league at worst in the world, right? And he was playing so as an 18-year-old out there. Now, you look at some of the stats, they don't wow you in that regard, but he is 6'5", 200 pounds. And then on the NBA draft scale right now, he's going through it in terms of the draft process. He's projected to be a late second-round pick. So he's doing his due diligence in terms of going and actually visiting colleges, right? He has not visited Texas Tech so far, but he has visited Florida. What would happen if that USC guard did go to Florida, who, again, he's scheduled to visit? Cloud is on Thursday of this week. What happens there, right? Texas Tech has some connections here, and there's been some smoke around their interest in, well, the guy on your screen right there. How good is he? Well, let's go ahead and look at this. He was actually named, most improved player in their league last year in terms of the Perth aspect of it. This is just, one of those deals where you look at everything from his skill set. And this is the thing, as I get the stats back on the screen for you guys, that I think is super interesting. Okay, this is a scouting report from NBA Draft over on SI.com. This is their write-up. The poise Henshell plays with is impressive. Regardless of the level of competition, he consistently has been a prospect who rises to the occasion and impacts winning. Now, his numbers may not always pop. As you can see on your screen, those aren't wow-popping or eye-popping numbers, right? Though he has the ability to stuff the stat sheet, at times. But there's no question he is a needle mover. Henshell has solid positional size and a great foundation. He doesn't have the most athleticism or burst, but he has a tight handle and a solid jumper. He also makes good decisions and has deep range from behind the arc. When the defenders close out too hard, the Australian guard can also get to the next two levels to score effectively. The passing chops exist with Henshell as well, making him an effective guard in either backcourt spot. So either at the point guard or the shooting guard spot. He has playmaking upside when given the opportunity and boasts a high basketball IQ. Now on the defensive end, it'll be interesting to see where he goes because, again, he is 6'5", and this is more me talking here. I think he can guard multiple positions. I really do, but I'm interested to see where they prioritize it in terms of, is it more on the guard spot or maybe at the 3 spot is where he's guarding. But the lack of quickness, I think, could limit him in terms of his NBA draft pedigree from the tape that I've watched. And I think he's a guy where he could go the NBA route. But nothing's going to be for certain there. I think personally he could get more money, at least from a guaranteed standpoint, if he were to go to college route, right? Whether that's Florida, Texas Tech, or some other school, right? This is a guy Texas Tech I think would be firmly in the mix for, and I think are behind the scenes trying to figure things out in terms of getting him. Now, is it going to be one of those situations where they wait and see forever for him? I don't know, but there is some smoke around him once again being linked to Texas Tech. And you have to wonder, again, he's only visited Florida to my knowledge at this point. Maybe he goes down to Florida. Obviously got Connaughton down there. You got the fellow Aussies as well. So, it's one of those deals where it's like, okay, that you see it there. But in terms of fit, he would fit seamlessly for the Red Raiders alongside Christian Anderson, in my opinion. And he is a guy that you need to monitor right now in terms of at least know how fast will this pick up. I don't think it'll pick up too fast just because I think he is going to go through the entire draft process. But maybe not. It is the portal after all, and just college basketball recruiting. It seems like everything accelerates at a nuclear type level when things get going. But right now for Texas Tech, I feel like they're more in a wait and see spot. This is the latest name that I've heard even just kind of thrown out there that Texas Tech has some interest in terms of guards. Could things change quickly? As you know, and as I just said, yes, it's the portal and just recruiting in general. But it seems like Texas Tech has positioned themselves well to be in the market for one of those experienced guards going through the NBA draft process. and maybe there's someone else they go after, but the portal is officially closed. Nobody else is going in it. Now you have to focus who's in it, and a lot of these guys are in the NBA draft process, and a lot of these guys are not going to like what NBA evaluators tell them in terms of their grades. They're going to return to college, and Texas Tech, as I mentioned, in a good spot to potentially land one of them. And Ben Henshell is the guy to monitor right now on that front. But as always, if there's more names that continue to develop, and I'm sure there will be, because why wouldn't there be? Texas Tech has a couple of spots open in terms of what they want to add to the roster, and there's plenty of talent out there and plenty of funds available for Texas Tech as well. So we'll see where they go. This is a name to monitor, but right now it's quiet time. Texas Tech football is the one that's really taken the shine in terms of the portal with their spring window. And if you want to stay in the know on both of them, whether it's Texas Tech men's basketball on the hardwood or Texas Tech football on the gridiron, both of them in the portal and just recruiting in general, this is the place for you with 100% free. My goodness, I was getting so excited right there. But 100% free videos for you guys all year long. This is the place for you guys. So if you want to stay in the know, all you got to do is like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Stay in the know right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel. I'm RC Maxfield, reminding you, as always, stay safe and Recom Tech.